Let's run it. FT live on Stadium. Scotty Braun, AJ Przynski, Eric Kratz, and we do have our poll question. What was the best fight in baseball? Baseball history? A-Rod versus Varitek, 04, at least recent history. Jose Bautista versus Rougned Odor in 2016. Got the Cardinals and Reds battle in 2010. There's a lot to unpack there. And then Padres and Braves in 1984, Nolan Ryan against Robin Ventura in 1993. If you want to go in the comments and say some rando fight.
Had White Sox Tigers like 2000, 2001, where Robert Fick was walking out the field, double burning, getting showered with beer when he walked into the bullpen.
Okay.
I mean, that was a good, it was Dean Palmer comes, Doug Brocail come charging on the mound at Jim Parquet. It was a good one. It went on for like 20 minutes. And it was like solid punching too.
We'll take write-in candidates in the chat right now. So, okay. Let's get into it. First off, on the fight side, AJ, when you see that happen live for the first time, and you know the history, right? And I can give it just a little bit of a reset where Arias, the rookie Gabriel Arias on the Guardians, was hearing it from Tim Anderson during the game. And there was the tag from Anderson on Friday against Brian Rocchio, which brought him off the bag. Tito was pissed. He gets booted from the game. Jose Ramirez clearly was talking to him about his hard tags and saying, he told us after the game, like, we're playing for our families and the sport, and you could get people hurt. You're disrespecting the game. Because some people are like, what do you mean by disrespecting the game? I think he was clear that hard tags were the problem. And if you're watching the show right now, you're seeing there's the tag. So take me through everything, including from the get-go here. Would you have been pissed at the tag if you're on the other side?
The tag didn't look that hard. If you've seen the video, which everyone kind of has seen it now, the tag didn't look that hard. I think it was more that he was standing over him and he was kind of holding it on him. And if you saw the Rocchio tag, he did pull him off, and he's not supposed to be able to be called out for that. And the umpires called him out, and then you saw Tito go crazy and get kicked out. Tito got kicked out of like every game this series, which is amazing.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, there were some other things that happened. But Ramirez was just downright. Listen, Jose Ramirez is we talked about the White Sox leader. I'll tell you who the leader of the White Sox is, or the Guardians is. It's Jose Ramirez. And you know what he did? He said, all right, Tim Anderson, you want to be the leader of the team? Let's see. And we saw, we all saw what happened. Now, this goes back, though. How do we know this stuff from Jose Ramirez? Because he talked about it. He stood in front of the microphone. Now, listen, it's easier to stand in front of the microphone when you're the guy knocking the other guy out. But I've been on the other end of it. Now, again, granted, nothing really happened when I got hit, but I was punched, right?
Did you fall?
No.
I know.
But what I'm saying is, like, I got hit, right? I got sucker punched. Yep. Fine. This wasn't a sucker punch. This was squared up, right? But guess what I did? I stood up, and I talked to the media after. I waited. This was like the second inning of the game. Rich Hill was the pitcher. God, Rich Hill's still pitching. But it was like the second inning when this happened. And guess what I did? I waited around until after the game. And guess what? The next day, I was there to answer questions again. And I gave my side of what happened. And people got to see Michael Barrett gave his side. I gave my side. Jose Ramirez gave his side. We got nothing from the White Sox other than Pedro Grifol said, we're going to let Major League Baseball look at this and take it from there. Dude, stand up for your guy. Stand up for your player and say, Tim didn't like what Jose Ramirez said or did. So guess what? Let's go. Fine. Boys will be boys, like Tito said. But the thing is, you got to say something. And to just not say anything and duck the media. And then, again, when we were talking to Russ, the next day we played the Cubs again. Michael Barrett was catching. Guess what? I came up to hit. Nothing was said between us, but I wasn't scheduled day off. It was day game. It was Sunday. Carlos Zambrano pitching. One of the, notorious guys, right? Ended up being a great dude. We ended up becoming friends later. But, I hit a homer off him in the game. He's chasing me around the bases, yelling at me. But I was there, right? I admit it. I did his thing when I hit home plate, and that really pissed him off. But whatever. But he was screaming at me running around the bases, right? Fine. But I was there.
He's going to have to talk eventually.
Was he going to hide from the media for the rest of his career?
He's going to talk in the next day or two.
But what's he going to say now? It's too late. I don't want to talk about it. Like he's going to be no comment. Dude,
he had some deleted tweets.
Which is even worse. Like, just stand up and say, this is what happened. Even if you say he landed a lucky punch on me.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, I don't know if you've ever been we've all been in fights.
I have.
Right? Like, sometimes it happens. The best boxers in the world. best fighters in the world. Guess what? Sometimes guys land lucky punches.
Mm-hmm.
Shit happens. But you gotta stand up. Why'd you fight him? Why'd you just drop your glove? What did Jose Ramirez say to you to make you take your glove and throw it down and say, let's go? Then I want to know why he went southpaw. Because he's right-handed. Why would you not? He went lefty. And then he went hook right.
Mm-hmm.
Jose ducked, and then he tried to double up with it, and that opened it up. That opened him up to the right.
And Kopech
was... Kopech, listen, I give Kopech credit. He tried to get him, Ramirez. He had him, but he didn't have, because he had his glove on. He had his glove in his hand. So Ramirez was able to get that looping right. It just hit him in the right spot. I mean, it didn't look like, it wasn't like a direct, it was kind of a looping and just hit him in the right spot.
Yeah, it's a Hail Mary punch.
Yeah.
And it worked.
What do they always say in boxing? A punch or chance? One good shot?
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to land in the perfect spot, man. And it sucks. It does, dude. Because I was texting with Russ. And I was texting the White Sox, some of the White Sox reporters that I know. And I was like, dude, tell me, give me some scoop on this. And they just kind of were like, and I said, listen, I know this. And I live it. He better be ready because people are going to ask him for the rest of his life to sign a picture. You know what that picture is going to be? That picture. And guess who gets it all the time? I get it all the time. And you know what I do? Shoot, there you go. Enjoy it. And you know what else I do about it? I laugh about it. Because there's nothing you can do to change it. You can't change it. So guess what? It's part of your career now. Jose Bautista, guess what? Everywhere he goes, people are like, damn, dude, you got smashed by Rognan Odor. So what?
Mm-hmm.
Shit happens. But don't avoid it. If anything, embrace it. Like people were like, oh, I tell people all the time, I go, I'm remembered for two things on the White Sox. Getting punched and striking out in the LCS and running to first.
And winning a World Series. But yes.
But people, you know what people want to talk to me the most about? The punch and striking out and running to first. Those are the two things people bring up more than the world. They're like, oh yeah, won the World Series, great. And listen, shit happens. But you got to embrace it. You got to talk about it. And you got to be able to move on from it, because if you send out cryptic tweets and again, Tim, whatever you're doing, I don't know what's going on. That's your business. Did you handle it? I'm just saying the way I would have handled it and the way I think you could handle it better is by talking about it and giving your side of the story. Because otherwise, media can just say whatever they want, and people can say whatever they want. But give your side. Say Jose Ramirez said this. I squared up. Fine. If you want to say he got a lucky punch, whatever. Mm-hmm. Fine. Cool. People, I guarantee you, will say, okay, I get it. I've been there.
Say can't wait for round 2, Kratzy.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you guys hear the Phillies and the Royals were playing this weekend too?
No,
nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares.
But Kratzy, here's the thing: the White Sox are awful this year, and we talk about them more. They've had more drama and more crap than any team. It's like they're just—it's unbelievable to me. Like fights and trades, and then guys pop. It's like, dude, you guys are not very good. Why are we having so much drama with the White Sox?
And one more thing, then we'll get into Middleton too, is like the ump backs up like 80
Oh, that
steps.
was awesome. Malachi Moore was like, he was like the UFC guy where he's like, let's get it on. He's like,
and then he backs up. And some people are like, how come the ump doesn't step in? I'm like, really?
No
First
chance.
off, that is great for the sport. Second of all, they don't make that much money that he should be taking a haymaker from either of those guys. Back the fuck up. Let it go for a second, right?
Totally. He can't be getting in there. But my thing, you went off about TA. My thing is about Pedro. Pedro Grifol hasn't said anything. Like you said, he said, oh, we're not going to talk about it. MLB is going to take care of it. Like, isn't this the whole issue? If there's no leaders, you're supposed to foster and encourage leaders in the clubhouse. The guy, you can't just sit there and be like, it's just nobody that I can lean on to be a leader. Like, encourage somebody. Hey, I know you don't have a lot of time, but you need to be able to step up. Hey, you need to be able to do this kind of thing. And then the whole cryptic not saying anything himself, to me, is just indicative of what the entire season has been for them. And I know Tony La Russa had the issues last year, so it's definitely a player's thing. But you knew this coming in. You weren't just like, you didn't just say, oh, wow, this was a really good team that had no issues last year. You have to be able to mitigate that kind of stuff. And part of it's talking to the media. And I'll couple what you said about the whole you getting punched by Michael Barrett. I talked to Michael Barrett about this. He took more of the TA approach of it. He's embarrassed about it. And I think TA is embarrassed about it. So I think it's harder to say something if you're constantly embarrassed about it and then you're delaying and you're not saying no comment. Well, it's just going to get worse.
I like one of the comments from another AJ early in here. Scotty Pods took out Barrett. If you want to go into all that.
There was a whole lot. Yeah, we don't want to talk about it because I get
we'll focus on the present.
No,
here.
I know, but I've told this story. I don't really like digging into it. But I'll just say this: Scott Pasenik and Brian Anderson, Rob Makoviak, Joey Cora. Joey Cora was accused of biting John Mabry on the bottom of the pile. Right, which he denies, but John Mabry, who was my hitting coach in St. Louis, was like, dude, that little bastard was biting me under the pile. I'm like, what? I'm like, Joe, you're biting. He's like, I didn't bite anybody, but like it was. But okay, so I mean, again, but like I love what Kratz said. Like, yes, you're right, Kratz. I stood up and said this happened, and you're right. At the time, Michael Barrett just kind of was like, I don't want to talk about it, and we've talked very little. Michael and I, we've been around each other very little, and we've said hello, and we're kind of, I don't want to say past it because it's not something you ever really kind of get past, especially for me, for someone that I knew before, and we had done some stuff off the field and done a bunch of things together.
You had done events and
yeah,
and
with
like
him.
That?
And so like I kind of consider him, I don't want to say a friend, but like an acquaintance that I knew. So for that to happen, okay, fine. But forever, guess who's linked now? Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson. Guess who's linked? Rognan Odor, Jose Bautista, Nolan Ryan, Robin Ventura. Like these things are it's just the way it is. Every time Cubs White Sox comes on, what's the first thing they show? Me and Michael Barrett. Yep. From now on, every time the Guardians and the White Sox play, guess what's going to be on TV? Mm-hmm. That fight, right? So you might as well own up to it and just wear it and be like, we had a guy, Ed Farmer, rest in peace. He was the old radio announcer for the White Sox. Love him to death. He got in a fight in 1980. Al Cowan was his name. He had hit him in the head. Knocked him unconscious, knocked him out of the game. He told a story that Al Cowan hit a ground ball. He came back. He faced him like after he'd come back from being out of the game. He hits a ground ball to shortstop. Al Cowan runs halfway to first, beelines to the mound. So he hit the ground ball, halfway to first, runs, tries to jump Ed Farmer from behind. Okay? All hell breaks. This is like 1980, so all hell was breaking. We found video. It took us years to finally find this video. I get a copy of it, and I show it to Ed Farmer on the plane. I said, Farmio, I got it. And I had it on my lap. That was when you had to put a disc into a laptop. It wasn't streaming. And I was like, dude, look what I got. He got so mad about it. And I'm like, Farmio, like this happens. He's like, well, when Barrett punched you in the grill, I go, it happens. Shit happens. Right? He didn't talk to me for like months after this. All because I showed something that happened in his career. Like, dude, like it happened. It was 40 years ago. Like, who cares?
There's an ego hit for some people. I mean, you're different. Like, you handle it with class, I gotta say. Also, dude, you got punched and you stood there and were kind of like, fuck you. Tim Anderson got knocked out.
Dude.
But for him right now,
I understand there's a personal pride. I'm sure his boys are, because my boys are like, they still say shit to me.
Right.
People say stuff to me like everywhere I go. But you know what? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I get it. And Kratz, you've been around guys. I'm sure that and again, this is, and I don't want to get personal at all because this is not a personal thing. But what it happened on the field, what happened on the field happened on the field. So own up to it and say, yeah, got a lucky punch. Fine. At least then you can say, yeah.
I would have also said like, dude can't take a hard tag. That's a hard tag because you have plenty of lines you could throw back there.
There's a lot of stuff.
I must say, like, yes, what happened afterward is what happened after that play. The tag itself, I kept looking. I'm like, was that a hard tag? I was like, that looked like a tag. So, yes, things were brewing in that series, clearly, okay? And then the last part of this with Middleton.
Can we talk about another team? Can we talk? I mean,
yeah, sure. Let's get back to Middleton later.
It's fine. I mean, while we're on it, let's just get into it. But it's like, that's what I said to Kratz. God, like, we're talking about this team like they're the best team of all time. And they're awful. They're 20-plus games under 500. But every day, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Every day, there's like a new something that comes out. You're like, oh, my gosh, what happened? Oh, wait.